Hello everyone, welcome to the video lecture of this course Finite Element Method. So this is the continuation of the second module, that is one dimensional problem. So in this module, in the earlier lectures, we have studied the finite element modeling, then the finite element equation for one dimensional bar elements, and there we have got the concept of the stiffness matrix and shape functions or interpolation functions. Now, based on those concepts and formula of this shape function, then the stiffness matrix, we have discussed different numericals, and there we have seen how to calculate the nodal displacements, then the stress, strain energy, then the reaction forces. After that, how to verify the reaction forces with the results. We have also discussed those steps in details. So today in this lecture we will discuss the concept of the thermal stress. That means how the temperature will change the formula in case of this one dimensional bar element. So those concepts we will discuss today, and based on this concept of the temperature effect we will discuss some numerical. Okay, so let us start this lecture. So the effect of temperature will be discussed in this lecture. So what happens actually when the free expansion is prevented in a member? In that case, the change in temperature, it causes the stresses in the member. So let us consider delta T be the rise in temperature and alpha be the coefficient of thermal expansion. So in that case, the nodal force vector due to the rise in temperature in the member is given by is equation 2.45, which is the force vector F. This is equals to EA alpha delta T multiplied by a column matrix minus 1 1. In this equation, capital E, this is the Young's modulus, then capital A is the area of the element, alpha is coefficient of thermal expansion, and delta T equals to temperature difference. So that means the formula of the thermal stress sigma, this is equals to E du dx minus E alpha delta T. So earlier when we have calculated the value of the stress without considering this temperature effect, in those cases the formula of the stress, it was only the E du dx. Now here we are getting the formula of the thermal stress. This is equals to E du dx minus E alpha delta T. So that means for element 1 we can write the formula of the thermal stress. This is equals to E1 U2 minus U1 by L1 minus E1 alpha 1 delta T. And for element 2 you can write the thermal stress formula. This is equals to E2 U3 minus U2 divided by L2 minus E2 alpha 2 delta T. So these are the equation for the thermal stress, and the formation of this equation for thermal stress in case of the element 1 and element 2 for the bar elements we have discussed here. Now based on this formula of the thermal stresses, we will now discuss different numerical. So this is the first problem here. So it states that an axial load of 4 into 10 to the power 5 Newton is applied at 30 degrees centigrade to the rod as shown in the figure. Now the temperature is then raised to 60 degrees centigrade. Now we need to calculate 4 different things, which are: number 1, assemble the K and F matrices. Then number 2, nodal displacements. Number 3, stresses in each material. Number 4, reactions at each nodal point. So these are the four different things that we need to calculate in this numerical. So let us first write what are the things given in this problem. We need to first identify those. So here in the diagram we can see that the rod is having the aluminum and steel materials, and for the first element of aluminum it is having two different nodes which are 1 and 2, and for the steel element the nodes are 2 and 3. Now for the aluminum element the area is given 1000 millimeter square. Young's modulus it is also given 0.7 into 10 to the power 5 Newton per millimeter square. In alpha 1 the thermal expansion part it is 23 into 10 to the power minus 6 per degree centigrade. And for the steel the area is given 1500 millimeter square. Then the Young's modulus it is 2 into 10 to the power 5 Newton per millimeter square, and alpha 2 this is 12 into 10 to the power minus 6 per degree centigrade. So now this formula that we have discussed in the earlier slide, considering the temperature effect, the formula of thermal stress we need to apply here. Next, the other parameters which are given in this numerical, those are the P is given 4 into 10 to the power 5 Newton, and L1 and L2 these are given as 200 and 300 millimeter. Then A1, E1, alpha 1, E2. So that means the area, Young's modulus, and the coefficient of thermal expansion for these two different elements, these are given here. And the delta T, this is 60 degrees centigrade minus 30 degrees centigrade, so ultimately it is 30 degrees centigrade. So we need to find the four different things which are, first we need to assemble the stiffness matrix and the force vector. Then we need to find the nodal displacements U1, U2 and U3. Then stress in each material which are sigma 1 and sigma 2. And the reactions at each nodal point which are R1, R2 and R3. So first we will write the finite element equation for one-dimensional two-noded bar element. And this equation is familiar to us. Based on this equation we have discussed different numericals earlier. So this finite element equation for the one-dimensional two-noded bar element, it is actually the force vector column matrix of F1 F2. This is equals to AE by L multiplied by symmetric matrix of 1 minus 1 minus 1 1 multiplied by the nodal displacement matrix which is of U1 U2, a column matrix. Now for element 1 and element 2 we need to write this finite element equation accordingly, considering the nodes for these two different elements. Now for the element 1 which is having the nodes 1 and 2, for that we can write the finite element equation. This is A1 E1 by L1 multiplied by symmetric matrix multiplied by the U1 U2, that column matrix. So this is equals to force vector F1 F2, that column matrix. Now if we put the values of the area, Young's modulus and the length for the element 1, then after several steps we are getting the equation number 1. So this is the mathematical representation of the finite element equation for the element 1 considering the nodes 1 and 2. So in this similar manner we need to form the finite element equation for the element 2 considering the nodes 2 and 3. So the finite element equation we can write as A2 E2 by L2 multiplied by symmetric matrix multiplied by the U1 and U2, that column matrix. So this is equals to force vector, which is F1 and F2 column matrix. Now here also, if we put the value of the area, Young's modulus and length for the element 2, then after several steps we are getting the equation number 1, which is the finite element equation for the element 2 considering the nodes 2 and 3. Now if we assemble these two finite element equations for the elements 1 and 2, so in that case we will get the stiffness matrix as a 3 by 3 matrix, and the nodal displacement matrix, it will be of u1, u2 and u3, and in case of the force vector we will be having f1, f2 and f3. So by rearranging we are getting the equation number 3. So for the first case, assembling the F matrix, in that case we need to write the formula of the load vector F equals to EA alpha delta T multiplied by column matrix of minus 1 1. It is considering the thermal expansion. So for element 1 you can write this equation considering the nodes 1 and 2. So it will be f1 f2, this is equals to e1 a1 alpha 1 delta t multiplied by the column matrix of minus 1 and 1. So now if we write the values of the Young's modulus, then the area and coefficient of thermal expansion and the temperature for the element 1, then we are getting the equation number 4 as the load vector equation. In this similar manner we need to form the equation for the element 2. So after putting the values of the necessary parameters, we are getting the final equation of the load vector as equation number 5. If we assemble this equation number 4 and 5, then we are getting the equation for the global force vector F1, F2, F3, this column matrix. It is equals to 1 and 10 to the power 5 multiplied by a column matrix of minus 0.483, minus 0.597 and 1.08. Now in the diagram we have seen that there is a axial load at point P of 400 into the power 5 Newton. It is acting on node 2. So that means we need to add this 400 into the power 5 Newton in F2 vector. So here we can see that 400 to the power 5 Newton, it has been added with the F2 vector. So finally we are getting the equation number 6. If we need to put these values of the global force vector in the earlier equation number 3. Now we need to apply the boundary condition. So how to apply the boundary condition? If we go back to the first diagram, here you can see at node 1 and node 2 there is no movement or the nodal displacement of the nodes. So that means u1 and u3, which are the nodal displacements corresponding to node 1 and 3, so these are actually 0. So this is the boundary condition, that u1 equals to 0 and at node 3 u3 equals to 0. So that means in the earlier equation we can put the value of u1 and u3 as 0. Now as u1 equals to 0, so we neglect the first row and first column of K matrix, and as u3 equals to 0, so we can neglect the third row and third column of the stiffness matrix. That means we are getting the final equation as 13.5 u2, this is equals to 3.403. So that means the value of the nodal displacement corresponding to node 2, this is equals to 0.2521 millimeter. The procedure following which we have found the value of the nodal displacement at node 2. Next, we need to apply the formula of the thermal stress, which is sigma equals to E du dx minus E alpha delta T. Now, for the element 1 and 2, we need to write the equation considering the nodes 1, 2 and 3 for the corresponding elements. So that means for element 1, we can write the equation for the thermal stress sigma 1. This is equals to E1 into U2 minus U1 divided by L1 minus E1 alpha 1 delta T. So that means if we put all the values for the different parameters in this equation, then we are getting the value of the thermal stress for the element 1. This is equals to 39.935 Newton per millimeter square, and this is the tensile stress. Similarly, in case of element 2, we can write this equation for thermal stress, and we can finally get the value of the thermal stress is minus 240.066 Newton per millimeter square, which is a compressive stress. For the last part of the numerical, we need to calculate the reaction force. Now, the formula of the reaction force are vector, this is equals to K into U, that means multiplication of the stiffness matrix and the nodal displacement vector minus the global force vector. So as all the values of this K, U and F matrices are known to us, so we can simply put all the values here, and for the three different nodes we will be having the reaction forces R1, R2 and R3 in the left hand side of this equation. So we need to perform the matrix multiplication, and after some steps we will get the value of the reaction forces, such as R1 equals to minus 0.39 in 10 to the power 5 Newton, R2 equals to 0 and R3 equals to 0.3601 in 10 to the power 5 Newton. Now to validate or to verify our result, we need to apply this concept, that is reaction force is equivalent and opposite to the applied force. That means the summation of the reaction forces, these are actually minus 4 into 10 to the power 5 Newton. So it is exactly equal and opposite with the applied force. So this is the procedure by which we can verify our result. So this is the final result that we need to write here at the end, or at the completion of this numerical, that the value of the stiffness matrix, it is 1 into 10 to the power 5 multiplied by 3 by 3 matrix, and the value of the global force vector, this is 1 into 10 to the power 5 multiplied by this column matrix. Then for the second part of the numerical, we need to find the nodal displacement, so the value of u1 equals to 0, u3 equals to 0 and u2 equals to 0.2521 millimeter. Next, for the third part of the numerical, we have to find the thermal stresses, so the for the element 1 and 2. So for the sigma 1, that is the thermal stress for the element 1, this is 39.935 tensile stress. Then for sigma 2, that is the thermal stress for the element 2, so this is minus 240.066 Newton per millimeter square, and it is a compressive stress. And the reactions and the support reactions we have also found out, and R1 equals to minus 0.39 into 10 to the power 5 Newton, R2 equals to 0 and R3 equals to minus 3.6 into 10 to the power 5 Newton. So this is the procedure based on which we have calculated the stiffness matrix and global force vector, displacements, thermal stresses and the reaction for this one-dimensional bar element considering the temperature effect. Next, let us discuss this numerical. As the one diagram it is given, and The structure which is provided here, it is subjected to an increase in temperature of 80 degrees centigrade. So we need to determine the displacements, stresses and support reactions. Some data we need to consider here. These are given, that is for bronze, aluminium and steel. For these three different elements, the area, then Young's modulus and the coefficient of thermal expansion, these are given. Next, P1, P2, which are acting at the nodes 2 and 3, these are given here. Temperature delta T, this is given 80 degrees centigrade. The length for these three elements, these are given. And this area, Young's modulus and the coefficient of thermal expansion for bronze, aluminum and steel, these are given in the table. So we need to find the displacements at the four nodes, then the stresses in each elements and the support reactions. So following the similar procedure that we have applied in the earlier numerical, we need to find the finite element equation first. So now the formula, it is familiar to us, so that means for element 1, 2 and 3, we need to form this finite element equation. So the element 1, considering the node 1 and 2, the finite element equation can be written as A1 E1 by L1 multiplied by a symmetric matrix multiplied by a column matrix of U1 and U2. This is equals to a force vector of F1 F2, which is a column matrix. If we put the values of area, Young's modulus and the length for the element 1, and after several steps we are getting the equation number 1, which is the finite element equation of for element 1 considering the nodes 1 and 2. Next, we need to apply the similar method to form the finite element equation for the element 2 considering the nodes 2 and 3. So if we put the values of the area, the Young's modulus and the length of the element 2 in the finite element equation, then we will get the final finite element equation as equation number 2 for the element 2. Next, for the element 3, we can form this similar kind of finite element equation, which we are getting in the form of equation number 3. Now if we assemble these three different equations, or these three different finite element equations, then we will be getting a 4x4 stiffness matrix. So this is the final form of the assembled finite element equation for the given structure, which is our equation number 4. Now first, if we assemble the F matrix, then we need to use the formula of the load vector, that is F equals to EA alpha delta T multiplied by column matrix of -1 1. Now for element 1, we can write the equation of the load vectors, so that is F1 F2, this is equals to 10 cube multiplied by column matrix of -301.19 and +301.19. So these are equation number 5. Next, for element 2, we can write the similar kind of equation for the load vector. So after putting all the values of Young's modulus, area, sigma, it is the thermal expansion, coefficient of thermal expansion, that is alpha 2, and the temperature delta T. If we put all these values, then we are getting the equation number 6. Next, for element 3, we can write the similar kind of equation, which we are getting as equation number 7. Now if we assemble these equations, that is 5, 6 and 7, then we are getting the global force vector is equals to 10 cube multiplied by a column matrix. Now in this diagram it is given that an axial load of 16 to 10 cube Newton, it is acting at node 2, and 75 into 10 cube Newton, it is acting at node 3. So that means we need to subtract 16 to 10 cube Newton in F2 vector and 16 to 10 cube Newton 16 to 10 cube and 75 into 10 cube Newton in F3 vector, because the loads these are acting towards left. So that's why finally we are getting the equation number 8 as the global force vector. So now next we need to put this equation number 8, that means the value of the global force vector, in the equation number 4. After that, now we need to apply the boundary condition. So from the given structure we can see that node 1 u1 equals to 0 and at node 4 u4 equals to 0. So that means we need to substitute the value of u1 and u4 in the above equation. So now as the u1 is 0, that means we can neglect the first row and first column of the K matrix, and as u4 is 0, so we can again neglect the fourth row and fourth column of the K matrix. The equation is reduced in this manner now, and finally we are getting the equation number 9 and 10. So from these two different equations we can easily find the value of the nodal displacement at the point 2 or the node 2, which we are getting as 0.2212 millimeter. Next we can put this value of u2 in any of the earlier equation, that means in any of the equation of 9 and 10, and in that case we will be getting the value of the nodal displacement at point 3 or node 3, which is coming as minus 0.00345 millimeter. Okay, so next we need to calculate the thermal stress, and the formula of the thermal stress sigma, this is equals to E du dx minus E alpha delta T. So for element 1 we can write this sigma 1, it is the thermal stress for element 1, this is equals to E1 to U2 minus U1 divided by L1 minus E1 alpha 1 delta T. If we put all the values of these different parameters, then we will be getting the value of thermal stress, which is minus 102.54 Newton per millimeter square, and which is a compressive stress. So in this similar manner we can write, or we can form the equation for the thermal stress in case of the element 2 and element 3 respectively, and finally after putting the known parameter values we are getting the thermal stress value for the element 2 is minus 155.009 Newton per millimeter square, which is a compressive stress, and the thermal stress value for the element 3, it is minus 185.475 Newton per millimeter square, which is also a compressive stress based on the sign of this thermal stress value. Finally we need to calculate the reaction force for the structure, and the formula of the reaction force, it is the R matrix, this is equals to K into U minus F matrices. So actually we have found out all the values for this K, U and F, so we need to put the values here, and we need to perform a matrix multiplication for this 4 by 4 and this column matrix. So after performing the several matrix operation, finally we are getting the value of the reaction forces here, which is R1 equals to 246.11 in 10 cube Newton, R2 and R3 is 0, and R4 equals to minus 113.35 into 10 cube Newton. So these are the final results that we need to write at the end of the numerical, that the value of the displacements, then the value of the thermal stresses, and the value of the reaction forces of the support reactions. And we need to also write the nature of the stresses, whether they are compressive or tensile. So depending on the sign, whether they're positive or negative, we will identify whether they are compressive or tensile in nature. So these are the numericals that we have discussed for the one-dimensional bar element problem considering the temperature effects. So there we have seen the formula of the load vector and the thermal stress formula, and how to apply this concept of the thermal stress for this one-dimensional bar problem to calculate their displacement, then the support reaction. Okay, so this is the end of this lecture. In the next lecture, we will discuss the concept of the spring element, and based on the different formula for that spring element, we will discuss different numericals. Okay, so this is the end for this lecture today.